So you want to get into Warcraft 3. My advice, don't. But you still want to get into Warcraft 3. Well, here's the thing. Getting into Warcraft 3 ain't easy. In fact, it's probably the hardest thing you'll ever do in your entire life. Why? Because getting into Warcraft 3 is nearly impossible. Seriously, it is nearly impossible to get into this game. Like, if you've already been playing Warcraft 3 for this many years, then you'll already be able to access it anyways because you'll have found a way. I mean, let's be real here. You bought the CD back in the day, you still have that CD, you can still play Warcraft 3. But for everybody else who doesn't have that CD, well, you can't actually play Warcraft 3. You can play Warcraft 3 Reforged if you want to, but who's going to play that? Nobody, because it's stupid and it's shit. So that doesn't really leave you with many options. The only option you really have is to essentially get the CD and actually play the game on the CD. But yeah, that's the annoying thing that you have to get over first, is actually getting to play the game. Because actually getting to play the game is next to impossible anyways, if you don't already own a copy. Now, if you own a copy of the game, now's the next step. Because first you have the campaign. Now, I'm just going to go straight to it and just say that the campaign is the best part about Warcraft 3 by far. If you're going to get into Warcraft 3 for anything, it's definitely got to be the campaign. So, the first thing you want to do is play the campaign. It's amazing, it's brilliant, and it teaches you certain things in the game that you'll never use in the multiplayer, but you'll absolutely utilize in the campaign. Put simply, the campaign and the multiplayer are like playing two different games, and you can't take skills that you learn from the campaign into multiplayer because you'll get your ass kicked faster than you can scream. Like, seriously, the campaign is more like a puzzle game where you're trying to figure out how to overcome this obstacle that's presented to you, which you can absolutely cheese due to the fact that this game has regen. You see, back in Warcraft 1 and 2, regen wasn't a thing. I mean, there was regen in Warcraft 2 if you had trolls, because it was a skill that you could get called troll regen, which allowed you to essentially pull your trolls back and have them regenerate their health. And orcs, well, they couldn't regen at all. Human players could heal their units if they microed them, but orcs couldn't unless they had trolls. But what orcs could do is they could reanimate corpses to make new minions to essentially bolster their army when their orcs die. So it was kind of a bit of a trade-off. And they can use any corpses for it, so that's kind of the advantage they have. So that's how they kind of balance things, but it's a very different game. The thing is that Warcraft 3 introduced heroes, which is essentially what gave birth to the MOBA genre, which is a hero versus hero type game. But heroes are basically just like RPG characters which level up and have items and grow stronger. That's basically what it is, but you merge them with all these units in a real-time strategy game, and obviously there is a level cap of 10 in Warcraft 3. And the thing about it is that having a leveling system completely changes the game. It completely changes the game, but not only that, having regen on every single unit also completely changes the game. Do you know why? Because in Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 1, you could lose units. Like you were supposed to lose units. Like, that ogre that you just produced, he was not going to last forever. That ogre was going to do his job, kill the troops that he needed to kill, and then he was going to die and probably be reanimated into corpses. Now, in Warcraft 3, if your grunts die, it's your fault. Like, if your grunts die, it's like getting your dick chopped off. You are in for a world of hurt. Like, you are really in for a world of hurt, because not only have you lost a unit, like, if you lose a unit to another player, that's even worse. That's like getting your dick chopped off, and your head chopped off, and your heart ripped out of your fucking body, or what's left of it, because now they're going to level up because they just killed your troop, and that makes them stronger because they've gained experience from you. So now you're fighting an even harder battle. On top of losing a troop, you're also fighting against someone who's even stronger, who will just snowball you. So you absolutely cannot lose a single unit if you are playing multiplayer. It is forbidden. And this is why Warcraft 3 is such a complicated RTS to learn and get into, because there's so much emphasis on keeping your units alive and microing your units that it is absolutely insane. It really is. And how do you micro units? Well, let's put it this way. Have you played fighting games before? Have you learned how to play fighting games before? I'm sure many people that are watching this haven't learned how to play fighting games before. I'm sure there's some that have and will probably be thinking, oh boy, I know exactly what he's about to say. Yes, real-time strategy games are like fighting games but for keyboard and mouse. Instead of actually learning how to move the control stick to do different button combinations, you're actually learning all the hotkeys and what they do, and having all of your buildings set to hotkeys, different units with different hotkeys, and different hotkeys that will allow the units to do specific commands like move. For example, here's a simple one. Selecting a peon and right-clicking to the tree. They go to the tree. Then you hold shift and then you right-click somewhere else to a building that they have to build. Or what's most commonly used, you'll click them to do a building and then you'll shift-click and then you'll go to the trees. What this does is automate the process. So basically, they will build the building, and then once they've built the building, they will immediately automatically go to the trees to harvest lumber. If you don't do this, you have to do it all manually, which means that they will finish the building, and then that peasant or peon will be stood there as an idle peon, and you'll have an icon saying idle peon. If you see that icon appear that something is idle, you're already losing the game. That's a sign that you suck at the game. It happens at times, but you do not want that symbol to appear at the bottom of your screen. They always have to be doing something. If you have something that is idle in Warcraft 3 not doing something, then that is massively detrimental to your victory, and you need to sort that out immediately. So automating it is important, and getting the hotkeys in position, learning the hotkeys helps you automate the process. It also helps you do stuff like changing targets and stuff, which if you're creeping, with Ancient of War, there's a lot of hotkeys involved in that. And you'll see people do this, they'll do Ancient of War creeps. You have to know exactly where to place that Ancient of War. We're going to address the inherent complexity right away. You need to know exactly where to place the Ancient of War so that the creeps don't immediately aggro it, and so that it can actually reach the creeps in efficient time. Then, you need to also know how many wisps you need to actually heal the Ancient of War when necessary, and when the Ancient of War needs to go to each tree, and the hotkeys to actually efficiently control the Ancient of War and prevent him from denying you experience by essentially denying him from attacking the enemy to get the last hit, so that the hero gets the last hit, so the hero gets the experience. This is the basics! If you can't even understand this, you have no chance of playing 1 versus 1 in Warcraft 3. This is just the basic meta. There's so much more layers to this game, but this is just the basics, and that's just playing as Night Elf. Playing as human, you're using militia, and you're doing similar things. But there's other aspects of the game as well. For example, you have the concept of surrounding, and this is something that is such a huge deal. If you can learn surrounding, then the whole game changes, and believe me, if you're playing 1 versus 1, your goal is to make sure that you can surround as many units as possible, and it's basically just a tug-of-war game of you trying to surround them and them trying to surround you. That is what 1 versus 1 is. It's not a strategy game, it's about how are you using those units that you put on the field. Just watch any Grubby match, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Grubby's strategies are stupid, but he makes them work because he knows how to use his units efficiently enough to essentially push his opponent into submission. That's why you see him, massing acolytes and just doing crazy stuff like that, because he just knows how to use units. If you don't know how to use units, then you're going to be in for a world of pain, because, yeah, you could have those grunts out, but if those grunts aren't really attacking effectively and aren't really and you're not utilizing things like surrounds, and you're essentially just trying to lead them to one unit that's running away while you pass by all the rest of them, then you're not playing effectively. You have to make sure they're hitting things. And that's why melee units are actually the hardest units to control in Warcraft 3, because if you don't know how to surround, melee units are useless. Completely fucking useless without understanding how to surround. And really, they are kind of, let's put it this way, the balance is kind of a mess, because melee can't attack air, and they also have to walk to their opposition, which means that they can easily be countered by maneuvers like slow and stuff, which makes them the hardest to use, and really, they're not really that great late game, because by the time that you get late game, everyone will have air. Because air is just so fucking good, and it just becomes air versus anti-air, the game. And melee just kind of get, like, lost in, like, all of that. So you're mainly using melee early game, because melee early game is crucial because they can surround more effectively. And that's one of the things that is good about melee. It's easier to surround with melee than it is with anti-air, because they're not using long-range attacks, so they have to get close. They have to close in. So they're going to close in very easily, and when they do, they can get that surround off. Now, if you're playing with other units, it's going to be a little harder, but it's not impossible if you know what you're doing. There's people that can absolutely surround with those units. So don't think that you can escape just because they're not using melee. But melee is the easiest ones to use. Like, probably the most common you'll ever see with surrounds is with ghouls. Ghouls are not to be underestimated. Yeah, sure, they might be weak and flimsy and easily killed, but they can absolutely surround you very easily if there's a ton of them. And if you start attacking those ghouls, they're going to immediately go for the surround to block you in. And it only takes for one ghoul to just replace the other ghoul, and then suddenly you are in fucking shit, because now you are surrounded and attacked by every single ghoul, and that damage amounts up. It's amazing just how much positioning makes a huge part of this game. Like, if you position your units all around another hero, that hero is going to be in some serious shit, because suddenly the DPS of just a single unit becomes multiple units, and it all adds up, and it just kills them in seconds. And then you're in panic mode trying to just kind of kill one of those ghouls and essentially just make your escape out of there, and then some other ghoul can just slightly move just in range to make sure that your hero can't get out, and then you're dead. And that is exactly what Warcraft 3 is. It is a brutal, brutal game, and you are not ready for it. So, if you play Warcraft 3 for the first time, you'll play the campaign, you'll probably enjoy the story and all of that lot. Then you're thinking, let's play the multiplayer. Well, you have two choices. Actually, you have three choices, but let's get started with the first choice. You have 1 versus 1. Now, 1 versus 1 is the game that you play if you are either a masochist or you are God tier at Warcraft 3, and I mean God tier. If you are really skilled at this game, then you will love playing 1 versus 1s. But either way, playing 1 versus 1s is a sweat fest. It is, because you do everything by yourself, and believe me, it's a completely different experience from team games. It is. And if you're good at the game, then you're probably going to be thinking, well, they're both the same. No, I mean, yes, but no, but yes. Like, if you're playing a team game, there's a little bit more to it in certain ways, but there's also, yeah, if you're playing with a lot of tryhards, it is basically the same. But in 1 versus 1, the thing is, it's just you and them. No one's going to back you up, no one's going to help you, and that changes the nature of the game. You can't just have, like, one player playing one role and the other player playing another role like you can have in, like, a 2 versus 2 or a 4 versus 4 RT game. In 1 versus 1, it's just you. You have to mix your units up. You have to make sure that you get an expansion. Like, immediately. It's not even something that's merely suggested, it's a requirement. Getting an expansion is literally a requirement, and sometimes even fast expanding is a requirement, if you are human, for example. Just so you can get towers out so you can defend it, but also so you can get that gold so that you can immediately get an instant advantage. Because when you play 1 versus 1, the first thing you'll learn, particularly if you're playing human or any other race, is if you control all the expansions on the map, you win. Because you'll basically have all the economy, and the opponent will have less economy and will eventually run out of gold, and then they'll have to go to your gold mine. So you really need to make sure you get that expansion immediately. Whereas in a 4 versus 4 game, well, if you rush the enemy quickly enough, you won't need to do that. And that depends on what heroes you're using and also what race you're using, because certain races are great at that, certain races suck at that. I'm not saying that humans are terrible at that. Humans can absolutely rush. But that's the thing. What is a human going to do in 1 versus 1? They are either going to rush you, or they are going to fast creep and get an expansion. The problem with that is that you'll encounter map hackers who know exactly when you expanded, and also not just map hackers, but also just players in general, because they know the fucking... They know the psychology behind the game. They know that that human player is probably expanding. We're going to check that expansion. Oh, they're there. We're going to basically, like, destroy their expansion the moment it's built, because we can, and not let them build any towers, and basically just deny their expansion. Stuff like that. And that's the problem with fast expanding and why it's a pain in the ass to players, those races, because of map hackers. But it's not the only thing you can do. You can also rush if you're really good at it, but that depends on who you're playing against, because rushes generally are just kind of like skill checks. Like usually if you're defending a rush, it all comes down to your own skill and your own capabilities. If two players of even skill are involved in a rush, the defending player will most likely win the rush. Most likely. But there are a few situational elements that may come into play there. But if you're a new player and you get rushed, you are absolutely done. You will not beat a rush if you are new to the game. If you have no skill whatsoever and you are the lowest skilled player on the team, it is 100% guaranteed that you are going to lose a rush if you are defending it. But if you are higher skill, it's most likely that you will absolutely defend it and probably counter it and win. The thing about Warcraft 3 1 vs 1 is it's very quick. It's a very quick match. You don't usually have very long matches. They usually end very quickly. It all comes down to surrounds and like understanding what's going on the map knowledge, and also just general game knowledge and just learning how the game works and the hotkeys and just being able to micro like a god. That's literally what 1 vs 1 is. And if you can do that, then you become competent at 1 vs 1, and then maybe you'll enjoy the back and forth between all of the APM races that you're going to be doing with the other players. Because that's what it's going to be like. But for those of you who don't want to suffer and want to have a more easygoing learning experience, it's usually better to jump into a 4 vs 4 RT game because it's absolute chaos. It's a fun, stupid frenzy of idiocy that never gets old. Like, you can go into a 4 vs 4 RT game and it's going to be absolute chaos. And I think the best moments in Warcraft 3 are playing 4 vs 4 RT. Seriously, they are. Because of just how crazy it is. And you, like, while every game is the same, you never really know how players are going to react to it. Because the best part about 4 vs 4 RT isn't actually the gameplay, it's the chat. It's the actual chat between you and the other players and your allies. Because the chat is phenomenal in Warcraft 3. There's not a chat like it. Because it takes toxicity to the next level. To the point that other players will want to rape your fucking 12-year-old sister and stick their balls in their mouth. That sort of fucking toxicity. You know, people who are really questionable human beings who say some really questionable things because they are basically anonymous on the internet, and you basically wonder what happened to them because they said something so stupid. But either way, like, you'll have a lot of people threatening you, and if you are new to the game, oh boy, like, you are in for so much ridicule. Like, your allies are the real opposition of the game. You're not playing to defeat the opposing team. You're playing to impress your teammates. That's what you're playing. You're playing to essentially show to your teammates that you're not a burden. To actually show that you're actually a valuable member of the team. Not to beat the opponents. That's not what matters. You know, you're not playing to beat them. You're playing to essentially prove to your allies that you're competent. And that becomes the actual pressure. It's not, oh yeah, like, the opposing team, you know, like, they're giving us insults, we'll get them, guys. No, it's basically just you versus your allies. Because your allies will see you as a burden if you have the slightest mistake or anything like that. They will immediately dismiss you and they will immediately get angry at you. Because you rely on your allies for so much in this game if you're playing a team game. Because if the enemy team zergs, everybody has to be on the same page, and if you're playing 4 vs 4 RT, chances are people will not be. Because there's going to be that one person who is extremely skilled at 1 vs 1, extremely skilled, but seems to think that they're still playing a 1 vs 1 game, never communicate, and they will, like, fast creep everything, have the highest level hero, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm the best player of the game, but they will never work together with you, and they'll never help you out. And they will also be the first people to bitch and moan at their teammates and blame everybody else, because they didn't help everybody else out when they needed it, so they just see everybody else as weak. And then eventually when they get zerged, they blame everybody else for losing. When in actual fact, maybe it's because they weren't actually working together with their teammates, because they didn't have a game plan. Now, there's a bit of nuance to it. You kind of got to have a game plan, but you haven't, like, got to, like, have this one person screaming constantly. Like, this is the thing, you either get one or the other. You either get a team that has no game plan, or you get a team with some delegator who thinks that they're fucking Gordon Ramsay, who is commanding you to do everything and getting angry at you when you don't do it. Build towers, make this hero, make sure you get fiends, make sure you get this, make sure you get this unit, go over here, go there, creep there, check that expansion, go over there, make sure that they're not fucking creeping mid, make sure that you can get them before they're creeping mid, creep jack their fucking expansion, you know? They'll just give you all this information. Like, why are you not surrounding the opponent? Why are you not healing my Death Knight? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing it? Why did you pick Crypt Lord first? You should not have picked Crypt Lord first. Picking Crypt Lord first is the universal sign that you suck. Pick Death Knight first so you can heal me and I can heal you. That way we can actually fucking win games. You'll get things like that. That's basically what you will get if you are new to the game. And those are actually things, particularly the last one, you probably should listen to that because it's very important if you're playing Undead. Never, ever go Crypt Lord first. It's never going to end well. Never going to end well. That's one noob mistake you'll always see when someone plays Warcraft 3 for the first time. They always pick Crypt Lord first. And I never understood why it's always Crypt Lord, but they always do. And they always fail when they do it, because the Warcraft 3 meta dictates that Death Knight is the best first hero choice because you need to have him at the highest hit points possible because he's going to be heavily focused late game throughout the game, and you don't want that. So you want him to have loads of health, you want him to have high levels so he has health and armor so that he's not fucking focused all game, and so that he has enough mana pool to actually heal all of his units and heal everyone on the field, and so that they can heal their teammates. Because double undead, when you have two Death Knights healing each other, is a nightmare to play against and is just imbalanced beyond recognition. At least in 1.26. And because of this, you have to understand all the meta. If you don't understand all the meta, you are literally a liability to your team. You are literally a liability to your team, and understanding the meta is just so crucial. And this starts from build orders, knowing that the first thing you build is altar, then you have a farm, then you have, like, the barracks, you know, like stuff like that. You know, you want to make sure that you are building the right things and not starting with a fucking lumber mill because you're an idiot. You know? Because if you start building a lumber mill as your first fucking building of choice, you've already failed at the game. Because what are you going to do with a lumber mill if you can't produce fucking units? Dipshit. You know? Stuff like that. Like, I swear to God, Warcraft 3 could automate so much at the start of the fucking game, and probably should for newcomers. Like, if they added, like, a tutorial for newcomers to Warcraft 3, they would have to teach build orders, because it's just essential. Like, start with the altar, then do this. Like, if you don't know that, you're just gonna have a rough time. You just are. And that is the thing, you know? You've got to understand the build orders. You've just got to understand it. And there's so much other stuff to it as well, because you have to also understand how to actually, like, play your fucking race. If you're playing as Orc, then you can't just basically just creep all game and then get to tier 3. It's not going to work well for you, because at tier 3, the only thing that Orc can do is spam mass bats. Because the enemy is going to have mass air and they're going to rape you. That's basically what it's going to be like. And I'm talking about team games here. In, like, 1 versus 1 is a little bit different. But in team games, that's what's going to happen. So in team games, if you're playing as Orc, you want to do a strong early game. You want to harass, you want to bully. That's what Orcs are. They are bullies. That's what they do. They bully the opponent into submission. You know? They get raiders, and they ensnare units to allow your teammates to just rush all over them and just destroy them and just kind of like sweep them away. That's the whole point of playing Orc. It's all about heavy crowd control, heavy abuse, and bullying. If you're not bullying and being aggressive, like, most of the time, you are not playing Orc properly. Now, there are times in a team game where you can't do that, particularly if you're trying to carry an undead teammate who is going to absolutely ruffle stomp everybody on the enemy team. Then, yeah, you probably will want to not be too aggressive if the opponents are able to defend against that. You might want to actually work with your allies and work together with them. But that depends on the situation. Eventually, you might have to go mass bats. It depends on the situation, and depends on your allies and what they're planning on doing. You have to be adaptive, but other than that, be fucking aggressive, because Warcraft 3, at its core, is a very aggressive game. If you're sat about, you're losing. Like, if you're not doing something 100% of the time, you are failing. You have to be efficient, you have to be constantly doing something. If there's nothing to do, creep. If there's nothing to do, go find an item, creep, you know, go scout the map, go do something instead of just sat at base. Now, I know there's going to be certain moments where you kind of have to because your units are weak and you need to get some healing stuff or wait for some gold, and certain things can go wrong, but you have to constantly be on the move. And the problem with this is you also have to deal with all the upgrades, all the techs and everything else, and the micro, all at the same time. So you have to learn how to multitask. And that's where the hotkeys come into play. So that instead of like dragging your cursor to the other side of the map where your base is, to actually click on the building and then click on the unit, you press the hotkey on your keyboard and then immediately press the other hotkey to do the specific thing, and then you just get back to where you are on the battle, so you can actually immediately do things very quickly. That's how people play this game at a high level, and that's how you're expected to play this game. Stuff like that. And that way you can essentially multitask in a split second to be time efficient, to save time, because time is the ultimate resource in Warcraft 3. If you waste time, you're losing, because the other players will be being time efficient and will be making the most out of every second. That's what APM is all about. It stands for actions per minute. The more actions you can take within a minute, the better a player you will be at Warcraft 3, generally speaking. There are exceptions, because there's other things like how to actually move units effectively. Some people might not know that, but there's a lot of nuances like, do you have a cause of attack plus 15 on your Blade Master in 1.26? Well, chances are, if you have high APM, or good enough APM, maybe not the highest, but if your opponent has higher APM than you, but you have good enough APM, you're probably still going to win because you have Claws of Attack plus 15. And if you have a fucking Orb of Lightning with that, you're going to absolutely anally invade them, because you're going to stun their units with a Purge, and then you're going to hit them again with a crit and just kill them, and then you're going to do that repeatedly. Now, if you have Raiders, it's even worse, because you can ensnare all of their units, and then you can just essentially get your Blade Master to just absolutely curb stomp all of them and embarrass your opponent. Now, this is one way that you can approach the game, but there's all kinds of ways you can approach the game. But the thing about it is that usually the best way to play Warcraft 3 is 4 vs 4 regardless, just simply because it's chaos. If you're playing 1 vs 1, you're just going to basically just be in an ego battle. Like, it's like playing like a one-on-one fighting game for ego points. It's like playing a ranked match in like fighting games. I mean, they're typically all ranks, let's put it that way, but like 4 vs 4 ranks don't matter, 1 vs 1 ranks do. Like 1 vs 1 matches are serious business, whereas 4 vs 4 matches are just stupid fun. Except that everybody takes it so seriously to the point that you just kind of have to take yourself out of the realm of Warcraft 3 for a minute and just laugh at what's going on screen, because everyone's an idiot except you. And that's usually the case because people take this game way too seriously, and it's like a fucking 20-year-old game and people still take it so seriously, like it's still a fucking esport that people are getting paid for and people make a living doing, except they're not, because it's a fucking 20-year-old game. So why? I mean, yeah, I know that there's some tournaments that's still being held and people are still doing these tournaments, but let's be real here. It's not a big popular esport, is it? Like, if you want to play a big popular esport, you're looking at stuff like League of Legends and stuff, because that's where the money is. There's not really much money in Warcraft 3, so why would you even give a shit? But people do. And people take it so seriously and have such a fucking ego for this game. It's unbelievable. But wait, there's more. There's more. Because there's custom games. How could I forget custom games? This is what everybody plays Warcraft 3 for. Like, literally, the only reason why people are still playing Warcraft 3 to this day is for one reason, and that is to play Dota. Seriously, more people play Warcraft 3 to play Dota than people actually play Warcraft 3 to actually play Warcraft 3. Dota is literally the reason why people have this game and want to play it. They don't play Warcraft 3 to actually play Warcraft 3, no. Of course not. They play Warcraft 3 so that they can play the original Dota, which to them is the purest, most pure multiplayer experience that has been untainted by modern gaming, and it is pure, like the original, untainted game that they absolutely adore, and that they've been playing for years, and they've mastered, and they're like, oh yes, now I get to flaunt my penis to everybody and look cool in front of everybody. That's basically the Dota community. And they play Dota every single day. These people will be playing Dota at fucking Christmas Day. They will wake up, like, even if they don't celebrate Christmas, even if they celebrate Hanukkah or, like, Ramadan, they will wake up on that fucking day and they will be playing Dota all day. They will not see their family members. They will not speak to their family members. They will not go out and say hello to the community and wish them a Merry Christmas. No, they'll be playing Dota all day. That's all they do, all their lives. Play Dota and nothing else. And you'll see it all the time, and it's hilarious. And one thing you'll learn when you play Warcraft 3 long enough, you'll always start seeing the same people time and time again in games, particularly nowadays. And I think a lot of that's due to the fact that the game is getting old now, but even back in the day, you'd see those same usernames like prop up, and it's just like these people just do nothing but play this game all day. And you know, you have channels like fucking Witty Warcraft who just play Warcraft 3 24/7 because it's their job. You know, and it's just like people take this game very seriously, and I mean very seriously, which is really hilarious given just how old this game is, and just it's literally the salty spittoon of video games. That is literally what Warcraft 3 is. It is that game that if you have never played before, you are not welcome. Go play Tetris. That's literally what everybody will say. Go play this easy game for scrub noobs like you. You aren't ready for this game. They don't want you around, you know? It's like people talk about Left 4 Dead where people are like, yeah, like, you're not allowed to play this, you suck. Well, take that to the next level, that's Warcraft 3. It's the most gatekeeping game you'll ever play in your life. They don't want you playing this game. They don't want newcomers playing this game because you're just going to be a liability and hold them back. They just want to play with their bros, their pals. Of course, they're not going to play private matches because they just need that additional stupid noob to like fill up that space for the enemy team so that they can feel good when they just completely squash them, mainly because that other one player, that random player that they had on their team was a noob and let them down, but then going to obviously take the piss out of the other players that they usually play with and blame them, because that's how it works in Warcraft 3. That's the community, because they're all ego-driven idiots. And there's some really stupid people in this game, and you'll find that out when you actually experience the Warcraft 3 community, not just because of their toxicity, but also because if you play Warcraft 3 customs long enough, you'll start encountering edgy custom games like School Shooting Simulator, Trump's 2016, and many other games that are really juvenile and really stupid and edgy for the sake of being edgy. There's loads of them, and there's been loads in the past that you don't see anymore, but you still have people playing the Revenge of the N-Word game. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. And they don't censor it either, and it's basically just racist cops and robbers. That is literally what it is. Like, you have the cops, and then you have the black people. The black people, to actually win as the black people, you have to commit enough crimes to essentially reach the highest score, and the cops have to kill black people to reach the highest score. That's literally how the game works. And, like, they literally made it deliberately like that. That just says what the community is like. They don't give a fuck. This is a community of right-wing Confederates. Like, this is a Confederate community. I swear, like, the Confederate community, they still exist on Warcraft 3. This is where the Confederate flag is waved on a regular basis. They still wave that flag here. They still do. Why? Because Warcraft 3 is total anarchy. So, of course, they're going to be, like, right-wing paradise. Because everyone's going to be like, freedom and liberty, we can start shitting on black people now, you know? You'll see that all the time, to the point that you'll just get numb to it. And it's like, oh yeah, just another racist video game. Oh great, just another racist custom. Just another Warcraft 3 game, you know? I mean, obviously you'll get people spouting racism in the chat when you're in the game, but you'll see it all the time in customs, to the point that it's actually kind of hilarious. I know that a lot of people will crucify me for saying that, but it is, because it's just like, people are just taking this so extreme that it's laughable, because they're just clearly trying to be edgy, and that's all there is to it. It's not actually just them actually being smart, it's just them making edgy comments. And it's just like, this is really dumb, and these people are really stupid, but you're just laughing at their stupidity and just laughing at how stupid and immature they are. Like, I'm 100% convinced that most of the people that are playing Warcraft 3 are intoxicated at the time of playing Warcraft 3. There's no other explanation. Like, there's some really ridiculous, crazy people that either have mental issues, are really intoxicated at the time, or are just shitty people. Like, there's just no two ways about it. They are either one or the other. Either that or they're just children. You know, they're either one of those things. They're either intoxicated, children, fucking insane individuals, or they have mental issues. Like, there's no middle ground. Like, that is literally what you're going to be facing yourself with when you actually involve yourself with the Warcraft 3 community. And there's all kinds of other games. I mean, you've got the role-playing community as well. Yeah, it's not just World of Warcraft that has a role-playing community. Warcraft 3 has a role-playing community as well. And role-playing community is even more elitist than the actual fucking competitive community, because they will basically just ban you from doing all kinds of things and will just pigeonhole you to do specific things, and it's just like, they're just begging to be trolled, man. Like, they are just begging to be trolled, and these people take this roleplay so seriously. And usually when they do, it's like reading some fanfic bullshit that was made by a fucking 12-year-old because it's so bad. And it's just like they always go with the same bullshit, and it's like, this is so lame, man. Can't you be more creative than this? But that's to be expected, I suppose. But while that's not inherently a problem, and I don't have an issue with people doing that, what I do have an issue with is the elitism from this. Like, people actually claim that role-playing is a skill. It's just like, we only allow professional role-players to play this game. You'll get that. You'll literally get that. And when you join a role-play game in Customs, you're like, only professional role-players are allowed to play this game. Oh, really? What is actually considered a professional role player then? I'm actually curious. I actually want to know, because what is a professional role player? How do you actually be pro at role playing? What, being a good actor? I've yet to see a single role player who is actually good at acting. Seriously, or actually has any form of literate sense, and actually knows how to write things. Because they all suck at doing that. They all suck at making fucking narratives. So, how can you be professional? But it's just like, they are such gatekeepers, and it's so lame. It's so dumb. And it's just like, why are we gatekeeping literal fucking roleplay? Why? It's like, you guys suck so bad at playing fucking Warcraft 3 Melee and Dota that you've turned to making roleplay your profession. How sad can you be? I'm not against people who enjoy roleplaying and just don't really care and they just chill about it, but the people that take it so seriously, those people are losers. Fucking losers! Seriously, and there's tons of them that play this fucking game. Learn to have a laugh, seriously. Fuck's sake. Some of the most miserable people you'll ever see in this fucking game. I swear to God. And then you'll get the party games like Ufa Party, Canna Party if you like things a little bit more on the obscene side, and of course, Canned Bread, which is just pure insanity. And it's SpongeBob related, because of course it fucking is. If I could describe Warcraft 3 Customs to you, I would basically show the fucking Mr. Krabs minigame in Canned Bread, which basically sums up the Warcraft 3 custom game community perfectly, where the whole goal is essentially to basically grab a gold coin and run from Mr. Krabs, and if Mr. Krabs catches you, he literally anally invades you and takes your virginity. That sums up the community perfectly. They really go all the way. They don't give a fuck. I will tell you right now, if you are under the age of 18, do not play Warcraft 3 online. Do not let your children play this fucking game. Do not let your children. I know that it says 12 plus on the actual game when you actually buy it, but this is the most M-rated shit you will ever see. Children should not be exposed to this shit. There is literal pornography on Warcraft 3, literally. Sexy Chick Island being one. Trump 2016 literally ends with porn. Fucking Kata Party literally ends with porn. There's so much porn in this game, and they don't care. They're just gonna put porn and all kinds of stuff in the game. And, they do a lot of stuff just simply for shock value and edgy shit, but it's just kind of crazy. It's just total anarchy. And that's kind of the fun of it, because you just know that anything goes in Warcraft 3. That's the main attraction. You just play Warcraft 3 just to embrace the anarchy. That's literally why you play this game. And that's what keeps you going, because ultimately, if you take this game seriously, it's just going to be miserable. And that's one of the reasons why, if anything, you should play Warcraft 3 online. To just embrace the chaos and just essentially laugh it off, because it's full of stupid, idiotic individuals who obviously just have zero fucking social life and pretty much just play the game all day. And they do. You'll see the same names show up all the time, and they play every single day. That's all they do. And that's the Warcraft 3 community, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you still want to get into Warcraft 3 knowing this, all I'm going to say is good luck to you, First recommendation, if you're going to play as a new player and you're playing for the first time, always pick undead as your first race of choice. Don't pick any of the other races. Start with undead and learn how to use Death Knight, Lich, Fiends, and buy the Orb of Corruption when you get tier 3. It should be the first thing you do. Give that to your Lich, and then suddenly you're actually competitive, and you can actually win a game. And when you actually finally win a game using Orb of Corruption, yeah, you'll feel a little dirty, but it's still a win, and you can still feel happy about that, and you might get some angry opponent bitching at you, but, you know, you might still get your allies bitching at you, but you still won, you know? And that's all that really matters. Because Warcraft 3 isn't a game you play for fun, it's a game you play to win. And that's all there is to it.